Meeting is being recorded. We have, let's see, we off mute? Yep, okay, we are off mute. Everybody can hear us okay? We got Dana and Jody joining us via the cloud, via Zoom. We have Teresa with Jolt News joining us as well. Hello, Teresa. And we have, I believe this is, that was probably us. We are also anticipating our communications team joining us to do a kind of a, as we do these digital narrations, there's actually going to be a transcribing service, that will be helping us because as we upload videos, we need to have them transcribed as well. So communication should be joining us shortly as well. All right, for the viewers at home, I'll share our screen with the agenda packet. So hopefully you can see that. Jody, Dana, can you see that?
I can see it.
All right, fantastic.
Thumbs up, Dana.
We are on the way. Just before you get started, Linnea, I wanted everybody to know I picked up a card for Gary. If you wanted to sign it and give him some love, we appreciate it. We'll add your name, Dana and Jody, to the card for Gary. Just
Thanks.
a well-wishing card for him getting well.
Oh, I didn't know he was sick.
Yeah, he's been struggling with some personal stuff, so we're gonna just send him a card, tell him we're thinking about him, and wish him well. He's missed the last 2 meetings, and we're hopeful he'll be here. He'll be ready to join us back in May, but
Okay.
time will tell.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So do we need to do introductions? We got everybody
I think we should.
covered. We should.
I
Okay.
think we always should.
Okay, I'm Linnea Madison, the Vice Chair on Lake Park Drive.
I'm Kathy Peterson from South Lark.
I'm Judith Locke from Lake Park Drive as well.
Dana, when you introduce yourself and what part of the lake you're from?
Dana Day, Lark Street.
Jody?
Jody Keys, Daisy Lane.
Thank you. I'm Dan Smith, Water Resources Director for the City of Tumwater.
Dave Congeser, Water Resources Specialist for the City of Tumwater.
Okay, did everyone get a chance to look at the agenda from the last meeting? And I think we have some comments or concerns.
Yes, I have comments about the minutes.
Oh, okay. We'll start with the agenda for tonight.
Yes.
Okay, the man, the myth.
The man, the myth.
Okay, the agenda for tonight. Do you have anything to add or anything to change? And we probably don't have Doug tonight.
Probably not.
Maybe by phone, right?
Okay, we don't need to approve that right now. Okay, moving on to the minutes from the February 8th meeting.
I had a concern, a belated concern about the February 8th minutes. I think I wasn't realizing how sparse they were compared to times past. And I did look them over, but I was out of town and evidently that affected my focusing within Phoenix and maybe just on vacation or something. So the main thing that I had concerns about was the Doug's report of his annual report on the lake annual report. And I thought that he covered a lot and that it wasn't really robustly included in the minutes. And I think it's really important that that be included. I think of the minutes as something that stands alone, that people can pick up, read into the future, not that people would go to his annual report, but that they could see in the minutes a summary of that. And that was since that was my part of the newsletter assignments. I rewatched the Zoom and reread the report, and there's a lot of information there. So I submitted my report for the newsletter timely, miraculously, and thought that, and then I, you know, as part of that, I kind of summarized, and I just would like this, and I'd be happy to either read or provide kind of the information in that annual report. That was my primary concern about the minutes, was that section.
So if I'm hearing you, you would like us to supplant your summary into the minutes for a meeting you weren't at. I don't know if we can do that.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You weren't at that February meeting?
Yes.
Oh,
She was
okay.
at it,
Oh,
for
yeah.
the review of the minutes.
Yeah, I was gone for the review.
Oh, got you.
Yeah. But yes, but I guess maybe it was confusing because I said I rewatched the Zoom. Because I really wanted, I thought Doug did such a great job on summarizing his annual report and provided information in a way that it doesn't come to life in the full report. You know, just, I guess his sort of musings and pulling information from a lot of different sources, like the temperature and the water levels and how everything interrelates, and it just doesn't translate into his annual report very well. So I was trying for the newsletter to portray that. And what I did for the newsletter, granted, is way long, because I think that I assumed the communications team was going to take after it, and they would do their magic and it would be half as long. But, I mean, I have what I think would make the minutes clearer or more robust.
If you'd like us to add that in there, we can, you send us what you want in there, we can add that in there at a later date.
Okay.
We won't approve these until, you know, we bring them back before the entire board, obviously. So we won't post them. You know, and as we talked about last meeting, I think the city's kind of in this area where we're between going to action level minutes, as we described last time, which is what you see, because we have video, documentary. As I mentioned, we're gonna have these transcripts as well, you know, so there, you know, the dialogue will be captured. If somebody on the committee wants to take that transcription, cut it down for inclusion in the minutes, we can do that as well. But I mean, really, the amount of time that went into those minutes historically, we just can't keep doing that.
Right, I understand that.
You know, that's really untenable, unless somebody, you know, at the table wants to, you know, take that off.
And,
But-
you know, and I've traditionally tried to kind of bridge that.
Sure. So I think, you know, there's, you know, as we move in the direction of going towards those action level minutes, you know, I think that transcription service is gonna provide us a little bit more opportunity to have more of that fleshed out information in there. And so, you know, when we get that, happy to, you know, provide that, you know, to the committee. And then, you know, Kathy, if you wanted to go through and say, here, pull these pieces out or help us summarize that, that could help us kind of bridge that gap between just documenting the actions and what we did, you know, with the context that we used to be able to provide, you know, we have a little
Right.
more flexibility. in
They
that.
were awesome. We had 15 years of awesome minutes. And, you know, I think it set this, you're right, it set the bar really high.
It did, and that's just, we can't.
Yeah, I understand. So am I hearing you say that I could take this, which has a bunch of clarifying questions, and,
I don't know if we want to put questions in the minutes.
no, I meant, like, for one thing, I wasn't sure if smartweed and pondweed were the same thing, as an example. And the spelling of fluoridone, are there two spellings for fluoridone?
I know what you mean.
Is it U and UO, or?
I think pondweed
Should be you.
is a general general term. Smartweed is a more defined term. You know, and so
It's clever.
I think Doug is using them interchangeably. It's specific to the smartweed that he's talking about. There's also duckweed. There's other different terms. I think in there he's specifically talking about the smartweed.
Okay, Yeah, because I think, and I think also we're all trying to get better at identifying, knowing what these things are ourselves. And, you know, I know what a smart weed looks like.
I don't, but I bet I can see it
Are they the other ones?
right now.
Is smart lead cleverer than the other thing?
Very clever.
And the spelling of fluoridone I was using from the report. Doug used the report.
So he goes, does he say FLU?
After you-
That sounds bad.
Fluoridone.
And then what it corrects to me is FLUO.
Yes, I would think that would be it,
You just spelled it FLUR.
Yeah,
whatever.
because it always comes up red underline for me unless I put the O in.
Yeah, it's, I think spell check, wants to spell like fluoride.
Yeah.
FLO.
It's not.
So it is FLU.
Yeah, I see that.
I'll never forget that.
Fluoridone. Spell it, like if you think of fluoridone.
Yeah.
So Kathy, you will send some suggested modifications to the minutes
Mhm.
to,
She did.
Yes, and you
Okay.
as well, because you're the Madam Chair.
We'll hold them for approval until May.
for the like.
Hi, Tom Sparks is on with you on Zoom.
Hi, Tom. We could see you for a minute, but,
Yeah, sorry
there
to
you
be
are.
late. Yeah. I just got the light behind me, so it doesn't work real well.
glad
Just
you're
makes
here.
you look heavenly.
Yeah, right, something.
We're looking up his nose there, weren't we?
Now you're gone again. I don't know, are you turning yourself on or off?
Off.
Okay.
Okay.
He's there in spirit.
I also had a question about item 8D, where it says floating mat management, and then it says NWAES Negotiations Committee.
If I remember correctly, that was, I think Kathy, you were taking a lead on bringing people together if there was interest in moving forward, but I don't think there was ever a decision to move forward with active promotion of that. It is still an opportunity. I think that the LMD members need to be aware of that being an opportunity. You're not necessarily going to facilitate everybody's application like you've done in the past. You know, but that is still an opportunity for folks around the lake to participate.
Are you talking about the floating maps or the
Yes.
private street?
I'm talking about
Oh,
D.
all right.
D, the floating mat management, and then it says NWAES Negotiations Committee. So, I think that, Vice Chair Madison's moved this agenda item to the June 14th.
Yes,
June 14th? Is May our next?
June 14th.
June 14th.
Oh, June 14th. So I would just remove the thing that says the negotiating committee and just, it's showing up, put it as a future agenda item.
Okay. It'll have to be an agenda item with a potential action, because if Doug is gonna be doing anything to address the maps, June would be the timeframe he needs to do that. You need to be able to give him direction, because then if we wait till the July meeting or the meeting after that, it's not till September. So
We'll have missed it.
there'll need to be an action for Doug to consider, or, you know, we'll have to bring to Doug from that June meeting.
So I guess I don't know what are you thinking we should do?
Wait
Here's
to
the-
discuss it until the next,
Yeah, you had said that you moved to
to the.
move
June.
it to June.
I think the idea behind that was Doug's gonna be
Yeah.
going and, you know, doing his work at that timeframe, so we could
Yeah.
direct his work at that point.
Yeah.
I think that was the discussion around
So-
that, so.
So I'm just saying there will probably, in the committee, whatever comes out of the committee in June, will have to be an
Okay.
action or
Oh, that's
no
what-
action
Okay,
for
so,
Doug, because our next meeting is not until September, so it's not a discussion item, it'll be an action item, depending on what you all want to propose. So maybe that's an offline conversation, with your neighbors to determine, you know, what y'all want with that, and then you come back in that June meeting, we can have an action for Doug.
so that is, a future,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
So, as far as future agenda items, number 10, I didn't understand if this top one, the lake management update, and then newsletter, and then lake access. Those are the three things that are listed now. Is that correct?
Current agenda I have, yeah, newsletter,
What's the lake management update? Is that,
that's just a standard.
oh, the
like,
standard
management
stuff,
update, yeah.
okay.
That's just Doug's and.
Yeah, the usual,
yeah,
okay.
you-
And then the newsletter, and then what's lake access?
That would have been an item for Doug as well, you know,
Yeah.
improving access.
Oh, the
to
site,
property.
okay, the lake access site, okay. And so then, we had also talked about the floating mat management, so that would be June. And then, Doug had mentioned two items. One of them was wetlands preservation, because he's saying all about phosphorus. So I think that came up as being a future agenda item. And,
Presentation from Doug on.
yeah, and then also, he was saying to us that we needed, to come up with a policy about our tolerance for unwanted vegetation growth. So are we in his words, are we expecting no weeds anywhere ever? Or are we financially prepared to have weeds, and to what extent? Because that policy drives the action. So those were the three next meeting agenda items that I had picked up. And that's the end of my comments about the minutes.
The thought of what will we tolerate?
Yes.
No, that's
Huge.
right.
I mean, I can't even see round the other side of the lake to give my opinion on what I would be tolerated in areas that I can't even see.
Well, the lake's beautiful right now.
Always is at this
It has,
time.
yeah.
It always is.
You see the,
Does anyone else have comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, moving on to public comment.
I think we have to move, somebody has to move and do something, but no.
There's no, I mean, so the amendments are being requested, we'll bring the minutes back to you for adoption.
Okay.
So there's no real motion, unless somebody
Okay.
wanted a motion to ignore your comments and adopt them.
Well, there's no movement or emotion.
my comments are often ignored. And probably should be.
I can't think of any comments.
Okay, so, these minutes, as adjusted would be, reviewed at the June meeting. Okay, thank you. So I guess that's another action item for June. Right.
Can I just pop in? I won't be here in the June meeting.
Or are you going back to England?
I'll be in London, and one of my sons is getting married for the second time on the 10th of June.
In the chapel at Windsor Castle?
No, not this time.
Is there any public comment? Mark Pree, see you've joined us. Any particular comment for the committee?
Oh, no, just listening. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hi, Mark.
Hey,
How about any member comments? I guess I should have announced at the beginning of the meeting that I do have to leave early tonight because one of my kids is in an important band performance. But we're gonna hustle through
We're
this
right at the street.
We're
at the middle school.
Yeah.
We'll be hustling now.
Hustling. Okay. Any other member comments?
Dana, Jody, Tom?
I was just gonna comment that, with the lake level as high as it is now, it's looking pretty good.
It is, great. I'll second that.
Went up on April 1st. Looking good.
Yeah.
All right, so the newsletter article. And been going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I received articles from Kathy, who's your partner? I'm sorry, for that newsletter article.
Me,
You?
Just me.
Oh, is that you?
I was supposed to partner with Doug, but I went back and looked at the
Yeah.
Zoom, so I went with that.
And then I got one from Rusty and
Government
Judith.
committee that had been approved by.
Yeah, I developed one, I talked to our communication staff today, so we have a process for getting this developed and getting it out through Constant Contact. We're also gonna develop a hard copy, newsletter as well, so, that's all gonna happen. So we're just working with the communication staff to get that going, and, hopefully, I don't know if we got a target date, but, by our next meeting, we'll have a newsletter out.
So is it the
Yeah,
communication?
well, it's gonna be before that, so hopefully by the end of next week, we have the text done.
Yeah.
We need that done because finance is holding up sending in the assessments out until we can send it out with the newsletter. So we can provide some information, some context for folks, so I know there's been a lot of property changes, particularly in the apartments, things like that too, so we wanna make sure that people aren't just getting a bill that they don't know what it's for, that they actually have some context with it. So we're gonna wrap that text up, we'll get it printed, and it might be 2 to 3 weeks, because once we wrap the text up, then we gotta get through the communication system, so.
It usually goes out in April, right?
Yeah, usually,
Yeah.
I wanna say sometimes late February, sometimes March,
Yeah,
but April is kind of
Around
the target.
IRS day.
We try and get it out, we try and get it out for folks, not too much longer, so.
I'll be gone the next 2 weeks.
To London?
We've got your article, so I think we're probably good.
Just love the idea of that going out with the assessments.
Yes, me too. People they had very pointed questions last year, and I thought it was great. People were interested, and so
When you say assessments, do you mean the bill?
The bill.
I was just wondering. No, anything could be an assessment. But I was just wondering, because it used to be the end of February, didn't it? I remember.
That
Here we are.
was when we got them out, but we weren't
Yeah.
trying to append any information really, and, so now hopefully we can get in a cycle where we're doing that. Especially since they're going up every year, and people are gonna notice that, that 5% increase.
So it'll be out in a month's time, or?
At the latest, yeah.
Oh,
So
so within a month. it'll be
Yeah,
out.
give us a week to finalize the text, over the course of next week. And then, after that, we'll put it in communications hands. They'll build a digital newsletter. That might go out first, but, once they have the digital newsletter print, then they can print a copy and we can get that out with the bills. That's the intention.
Well, if you're gonna change anything in our contribution, we wanna be consulted at it.
We can do that.
Down.
We can do that.
Trying to definitely capture your voice, though, so that's the essence of your.
Do you capture, is
the
it
newsletter,
captured?
so,
Put a little picture of the byline,
Oh, yeah, we get you one from several years ago.
No, but in all seriousness, I need it, we're leaving here middle, of May for a month. And I'd like,
Yeah, the goal is to
I'd
get
like to
out.
be done and dusted with it all by.
We would like to be this done and dusted as well. We want this thing out, so.
I think it's nice to have a really, the communications team is so good. We couldn't have gotten by without them last year, really. And I think that takes place of trying to have an annual meeting. This is really the information that we would have been providing.
It probably reaches more people.
I know, yeah.
Right. And limited lake management update in the absence of Doug Dorr.
But it's managing itself largely,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
great, it's great.
Yeah.
And geese and bits and pieces are all floating around. Some big bird the other day, I can't remember what it was, and Ed noticed it, and we thought, wow,
The big birds,
a big one.
And you're in down there, that tree is, somebody could go out in the boat and take it apart now, but I don't know if it's okay to do
I
it.
would have it taken, we had a tree that broke down about 2 years ago, certainly more than a year anyway. and
Right into the lake.
But it,
Unhurried.
but the branch that sticks out of the water, and it's alive. I would love someone to come in and then cut it off.
Well, the big
Ed doesn't, I know, but Ed, the beavers might,
They've been there.
and I think it was their thing that made the rest of it collapse. But Ed thinks it's lovely and decorative and wild and normal,
So
natural.
who are you representing here?
Oh,
It's not Ed. Gotta represent Ed. No, but
Anyway,
the thing is that I think it is going away. You know,
bit by bit.
and of course,
yeah.
there's no leaves on it right now.
Like,
Doug, we don't.
I think it's probably animals like it too.
Quick update on the, our aquatic permit that Doug uses for, spraying, from the Department of Ecology. There was a note that came up from Department of Ecology about, lake management and modification requests when it comes to the timing of application. Our scenario, though, doesn't really apply since, we are allowed to spray at whenever it's necessary. So our timing window is not dependent on, so the permit's not on our timing, so it doesn't apply to us.
Good.
Good, so, Doug tries to stay on top of that stuff. I looked into it a little bit, doesn't apply to us, so I think we're still in good shape with what we're doing.
They won't be issuing us a new permit, right? We're still on a 5-year cycle and.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that permit expires, but I wouldn't anticipate any major changes.
The lake level is still high? Oh, do we,
It was there a little while ago.
again?
Yes, so, we never reached, it's been kind of a quiet winter.
Yeah.
You know, we had that one big rain event, so it looks like it was back in November or something like that, but, it's been pretty steady, a steady increase, no super big peaks. I was at the flexible leveler at the Beaver Dam a couple days ago, and, there was no water running through it, so, we're kind of bumping right along that threshold there, which is good, so. So yeah, nothing major. I think we've got a few floating mats that are starting to make their way up, so we'll anticipate if, we might see those here in the near future. But
What are you saying?
when I was out there collecting this data, there was some floating mats just underneath the surface of the water.
Oh, okay.
Or down there where the leveler is.
Yeah, they're actually spread out pretty, uniformly around the edges of the lake, it seemed like, so.
Yeah, where you can do, they're just right below.
Yeah, right below the
Season,
surface.
yeah, about to rear their ugly little heads.
Yeah, so it's been coming.
Down, boy, down.
Yeah. So, yeah, lake levels are kind of holding steady, for the next few months anyway, too. Temperatures, again, we're right at the valley, when it comes to temperature. We should start to see those creep up. And when they start creeping up, they're probably gonna creep up pretty rapidly. That bar right there, I set that at 63 degrees, and that's usually the time when we start to see plant emergence. So you can see we're still well below, where we're gonna start seeing plant emergence. So, treatment won't be really necessary until we see that temperature, graph start to approach that line, so.
Like last year, that started in June.
Yeah, I was looking at that data, and it varied these last 2 years,
Right in
Right about June, both
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, right
June,
in.
July, somewhere in there, kind of. Last year, we had a cooler June than normal, so it kind of lasted a little bit longer, but yeah, once we start seeing it creep up, it's gonna creep up pretty quickly, so,
So do you still have to go there to get the temperature readings?
yeah. Just have to paddle out there and download the data, so.
Oh, it's not transmitted, huh?
Well, that was the idea when we put it where we did. Hopefully I could stand on the shore and it would read it, but it doesn't do that. So I have to pretty much be right on top of it to download the data. It still transmits, through cellular service, but I don't have to like physically plug in my computer to the device, which is still really nice to just be able to paddle out there and hit my button and got all the data away I go, so.
I know this, I mean, it keeps hitting freezing. And I keep wondering, when is the last time? I've been waiting to plant stuff, you know, because it keeps hitting it, and so I know that the temperature has stayed colder than usual from that nighttime stuff.
Yeah.
not here yet,
Except for the beavers.
for the beavers.
And we got one. We got our own beaver.
Oh, you put the picture.
Beaver Peterson. Do you guys look at the Facebook either one of
Was
you?
that telephoto?
No, Jim got it, yeah.
I mean, that was a close-up.
Is it on your property?
Oh, yeah. And he's not afraid of anything.
Damn,
Jim walked
what a
right up
shame.
to about 4 feet away. He said,
No
"I-
kidding. Oh, really? Oh,
Then he lumbered over some lumber.
they're 45 or 50 pounds. They're big, you know.
I said,
And I-
I said, I see a nutria and it's the biggest one I've ever seen. And Jim said,
Got a big flat tail.
I think that's a beaver. So he came back a couple times.
No, wrap your trees.
Yeah, my trees are wrapped and the blueberries are wrapped.
And for the first time, since our last meeting, I saw a beaver swimming down in our, going right from your place, right past us, headed right back home, I think. Or maybe he was going to Linnea's to get snacks.
Probably.
That was fun to see.
It was like,
Very
I couldn't believe
far
it. What
away,
am I
maybe.
seeing? Oh, it's a beaver.
I know.
But they.
You warned me after I saw the damage at your house,
Yeah.
the condos. I was like, a half-inch mesh everywhere.
Mhm. General business with Dan?
All right, first item up, we have the Washington State LMD Leaders Meeting. So there's been, I guess, behind the scenes effort by, remember which LMD the guy's from?
Lake Lawrence.
Lake Lawrence, in Thurston County here, that's putting together kind of just an informal group of LMD leaders. I know he's been connecting with Gary, Lynn, I don't know if he's been reaching out to you at all, but he's basically trying to reach to the presidents or the chairs of the, of the lake group organizations that are out there. And, with Gary, focusing on his treatments and everything right now, I was curious if anybody around the LMD would like to be, connected with that group. I would reach out to them and get you connected with them. I don't really think there's a huge time commitment, coordination, it's probably mostly like, hey, what's going on with your lake? Is there similar issues? How are you addressing these issues? So basically a networking opportunity with other LMDs, in the region. And so if there's interest, I would certainly get you guys connected, with that. So it's kind of it's an offer, it's an opportunity. It's certainly not expected or required of anybody. But I wanted to let you know that there is a group of LMDs, local regional LMDs that are getting together and meeting.
I would if you would.
I'm curious about it, but I also kind of feel like we have this special little world we operate in with very little controversy here.
Yeah, what
Are you saying that?
I'm reluctant, I kind of like.
So that we all know what each other are doing, kind of thing.
Right, and challenges that one lake might be experiencing, that other lakes may
Okay.
have been resolving issues with, and so it's
So
creating.
it's not some effort to create an empire.
No.
Or
I mean,
another.
I don't speak to anybody's, intentions, but my understanding is just a networking opportunity, so LMDs can connect and discuss challenges, opportunities. One LMD is not going to have any influence necessarily on the other LMD, so, you all are organized per your own, rules. Some are county run, some are, led by steering committees and so stuff like that. So really a networking opportunity to kind of just be connected with other lake folks that are dealing with similar stuff. Not necessarily social. I mean, from what I've seen, there's agenda. I mean, they have topics that they cover. You might have seen later last year, I think even a year or so before, the same gentleman was asking information about, how does your lake, how is it organized, how is it formed, and so it's opportunities to share that kind of information as well.
I will say Barnes Lake, acreage-wise, Barnes Lake is the smallest of the group.
Yes.
But we're the oldest. Lake managed,
Oh,
well, I don't know about that, but
I thought, was it Long Lake was before us?
oh, were they?
Yeah.
Because we copied somebody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it Long Lake?
Long Lake.
question.
I worked with them to
Considerably
kind of
larger.
figure out how the process looked like. And that was organized and managed by the county. There is a steering committee that is it's organized slightly different than Barnes Lake, but similar process. All right, Kathy, Linnea, I will get you both connected. But then I'll copy you on my emails and just so that they have that email information. If you choose to share phone numbers, we'll let you guys, share whatever
Yeah.
information you want to share.
That's not an action item that we need to approve.
Or credentials.
Our qualification.
I approve that you want to do it, that's great.
I would just, obviously you can't commit the LMD to anything, in the group, kind of thing, without the
We'll
group's
lend you
consensus.
some of our money.
Without the group's consensus, so,
We'll try to behave.
let's behave, Kathy.
We'll try, we'll try.
Speaking of behaving, the next item up is boards and commission ordinance update. So as I think I might have mentioned in an earlier meeting, the city is kind of enhancing, its oversight, of boards and commissions, including the LMD, the tree board, the planning commission, all the various volunteer advisory groups that the city has. The ordinance is kind of comprehensive in nature, requiring that, these advisory groups have, kind of a charter, organizational ground rules, things like that. All stuff that we did many years ago. And so I had asked our attorney, so does this have any implication to what you all do? And the answer was no. So from an organizational standpoint, you guys are already way ahead of the game. Not all the advisory groups and boards here are in that same place. So good on you for being kind of ahead of the game. But just, that also brings a level of, it also connects the boards and commissions to the city's operating and personnel policies. And so there is kind of accountability rules about how we operate, don't assault somebody, no horseplay, no running in hallways, those kinds of things. I can, at the next
I know,
meeting.
we're very inclined that way.
Right, I know.
Really where it's all
This
going.
is really gonna hamper how you guys operate,
Pull to the horse game, I know.
But I'll bring the whole list, at the next meeting, so you see what the personnel.
Prepared from having to do the.
Right. So you'll be able to just kind of see what that looks like, but then there'll also be, a commission ethics policy that the city will ask you to sign. This is a draft agreement. But basically, it's like, effectively, y'all are representatives of your community. You're working for the government, so you follow the same government ethics that, staff employ, our elected officials employ. Avoiding potential conflicts between private interests and public duties, refraining from securing special privileges or exemptions, so that wouldn't be available to the public. So, when we're talking about the private treatments, like the LMD committee members couldn't be the only ones getting that. That's why we had to open it up to everybody in the community. So that kind of stuff. So making sure that, anything that you do is coming from a place of ethical and moral, yeah, it's approved. So refrain from using city funds for personal gain, that kind of stuff. So, we'll have this available for you once this gets finalized as well. So just.
You're putting ideas in there.
I know.
Well, hopefully not.
She's bad. She's being bad.
But, if we are putting ideas in the head, you're signing a thing, then we'll have to remove you from the group, so. Don't wanna do that. Don't wanna do that,
City funds, that.
What movie? Hasn't been adopted yet, but those are
City
moving
funds
forward. I
is
anticipate that they'll both be
tempting,
in place by the time we have our next meeting in June, so. And then you'll be signing, so we'll bring all those things to your signature at that
We know
point.
about that.
Run in the hallways between now and the next meeting.
Right, you can run out the hallway, you can tackle each other, call each other names, whatever you need to do between, on your way out of here tonight. We won't hold it against you.
Okay.
I won't, but somebody else may.
50 minutes. Here, can I call out the time every 10?
Okay,
Plan.
work plan review. So on the screen there, you can kind of see where we're at. Since our last meeting, we've had the city council review the annual work plan, the operating budget, and the treatment summary that Doug had prepared. Council still remains very supportive of the work that y'all are doing and is glad that y'all are here doing it. We got the new contract in place for Northwest Aquatic Ecosystems for 2 years. That's done. Dave reviewed the volunteer monitoring program SOP and considers it good for this coming year. Looks like he also got whatever supplies he might have needed for the volunteer water quality monitoring program. The revised roll of rates and charges has been submitted to our finance department, and so they're ready to go as soon as we can get them that newsletter, which are those 2 unmarked boxes for January and March about distributing outreach materials that will go out with those assessments. And then really the last thing before April is we have any volunteers for the summer water quality monitoring program. Dave will want to connect up with them to do some training. And then hopefully by the time we meet again in June, we'll start some chemical treatments on the lake. We'll give Doug some guidance on the floating map to volunteer property owners at the June meeting. Hopefully we'll have a photo aerial assessment, drone video maybe he'll have done by then.
When does the summer water quality monitoring program begin?
Usually start in May.
May, thank you.
And do we have all the volunteers we need?
So,
We can put a call out to the LMD group with the assessment letters as well. If we can get
It'd be
it.
nice to rope in some new people. Don't look at me. I was thinking my kids.
I know
but-
you will.
No, well, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really, yeah, Dave.
Do they have to be 18?
No, Dave brought his daughter, was
They can
bring your
play.
daughter to work, and she was
Oh.
great.
Okay.
She got in there
Possibility.
and, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We're actually starting a campaign with the Tamar School District to
Are you?
provide kind of stuff like this.
Good.
The boat stuff is a little bit, we gotta figure out how we wanna,
Yeah, there might be some challenges there from a
Have to wear floaties.
water wing.
Might have to be.
They'll love that.
Accompanied by their parents or something along those
I
lines,
don't
or, I don't know, we'll have to talk with both our risk and our legal folks about that, you know.
Oh, my gosh. I know it's true. It's reality, but.
Well, but, you know, I mean, Dave, if you had a grandkid that you,
No, I know, no, totally. I'm just.
she was great. She was looking around and,
All
oh,
it takes is one lawsuit to drain the entire LMD fund, so, you know,
This is true.
you know.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, no, I hear you, I've been dealing with the court stuff way too much lately.
Oh,
so starting in May, okay.
So let's see here, and then, so May, June, photo assessments, we'll review steering committee appointments. If there are any additional appointments, we'll announce those vacancies to the entire LMD, see if there's interest, and hopefully get a couple rounds of water quality sampling. And then after that meeting, we'll just be kind of in the summer mode, collecting shoreline treatment, or conducting the shoreline treatments and water
Doing
quality
it,
monitoring, and won't meet again until October, which will be kind of following the treatment season and seeing how things went,
But he'll be doing a treatment in June, won't he?
theoretically.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments or needs on here? Okay. The last thing I think I've got for you on here is the budget review. And this is fairly easy because there's been no assessments collected, there's been no expenditures received, so here is your budget for the year, basically, just kind of an analysis there.
I like those zeros. The expenditures, that's nice.
Yeah.
So you'll be seeing I used to historically do Excel spreadsheets. We're gonna get away from that. You know, we have both new accounting systems, and this should be providing the most up-to-date information. We finally have gotten this into a good reporting format, so it should actually be reflecting, what costs we are actually incurring in there, where we're at with the budget, so.
It's very easy to read.
Yes. I don't think-
Yeah, previously it wasn't always like that, so, we've got it to this format, and this is much easier and, it doesn't, it removes any potential for Dan to miss a bill on the spreadsheet or, as long as we've gone through our accounting system, it should show up here. But it also gives us the opportunity to say, hey, Doug submitted a bill, why aren't we seeing it here? There's been some expenditures we anticipate seeing, is generally how I identify, that there's been some challenges with our accounting procedures, because the Barnes Lake Management District is technically managed through our stormwater fund. Sometimes some of the expenditures end up getting paid by the stormwater fund instead of the LMD, and we can't mix those funds. So this will help us catch some of those things that might happen. And ideally, we'll be able to also reflect revenues coming in on a future report as well, so you'll see it all in one place. I believe that's all I've got.
Moving on to future agenda items.
I think I have 10.
10 additional ones?
Well done, Dan.
Well, let me see. 5. No. 8 total. For lake management update, newsletter, lake access. And then we added wetlands in no particular order. Wetlands preservation was Dorling, tolerance of unwanted vegetation growth. That's discussion, I don't know. I don't think, do you think that's a Doug thing?
Well, I think what Doug will need to do is provide us an example of a policy that he might be considering, because I wouldn't even know how to go about providing you with that guidance, you know, what that looks like. Because it's really about the LMD's perspective of what's acceptable or not. And I think that's what Doug wants to know, because I know there are years where he gets questions from, you know, or complaints, you know, from folks around the lake saying he didn't do anything. He's just like, but I was just there, you know, so, you know, he kind of wants to get you know, an idea of what the tolerance is. Is it, like Kathy said, no weeds on the lake at all? Is some growth okay? What does some growth look like? How do we define what those levels of acceptance are for the work that he's doing? It also helps him to create a treatment program
Right.
Yeah.
that meets those goals.
Yeah.
Right, so effectively, what are the goals, you know, that the LMD wants to be able to provide for him? So hopefully he can, you know, give us some good examples of help. So, you know, if he can't be here, then I can at least help facilitate that conversation with you.
It's also something you could bring to the LMD group, the regional group, ask what other folks are
Yeah.
doing.
How do they
I mean, can we just toss around, I mean, what are people comfortable with in terms of the lake?
Well, I
Do you
think
want
one
it
of
to
the
be
problems
absolutely
is we don't
pristine?
all see all of the lake. I mean, we see our little view here,
Yeah.
but there's a massive other lake. They don't see our view.
Yeah.
So it's going to be mixed, the different responses.
I mean, our little
2%
land is
weed
shallow,
or
so
what?
it's gonna have a lot more plant growth because it's shallow and the water's warmer.
So a goal could be like managing, you know, open water to, you know, an unimpacted, you know, area, and making sure that there are no lily pads in the open water areas. But in the shallower areas, maybe you're saying, maybe it's like looking at 50% vegetation is okay, 50% vegetation cover is okay. So some way
It
that
doesn't mean
Doug,
surface coverage.
but it means growth, right? And so like, again, that Doug's gonna, you know, or maybe the LMD group, or there's some ways that we can help define what that is,
Yeah.
because it's gonna have to be a regional acceptance policy, right? It's not just, you know, your view is managed in this way, and your view is managed in this way.
No.
You know, it
Right,
can't,
right.
it has to be like generally
Right.
shallow, the shallow zones are, you know, some growth is allowable, is acceptable, you know, because, you know, you're not necessarily be able to treat that. Or, you know, or is it, the entire lake is weed free. You know,
Yeah, well, just
levels
pour
different.
bleach in.
But there's life in the lake, and
Lots of
they
bleach.
like the weeds.
Absolutely, I mean, there's a balance there, so again, it's, you know, I'm being kind of hyperbolic with, you know, the examples, but, you know, that's kind of the conversation I think Doug really wants to have.
Yeah.
Well, and we're also always wanting to keep that open track so that people can go all the way around, you know, not
Oh,
getting near the bottom.
around the edge.
Yeah, like in front of the condos and, you know, just that pathway and then that narrowing.
Around the islands,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's not fun when you get there and you get stuck.
But also recognizes the conservancy areas that have been adopted require shoreline, you know, that connection. So if you have you have the pond or the mat or the island, you know, it's managing it from shoreline. That's what ecology guidance has always been. They don't want to eradication in there because of the wildlife and the habitat. Those conservancy areas stretch from the shoreline out. So depending on how wide of a swath you're talking about, maybe that shoreline, that shoreline bit is managed but not eradicated, right? So it's balancing all of that.
Right.
Versus, you know, completely open space, you know, open water. I think that's the conversation Doug is interested in having. That's the conversation that I think would be good, Robert.
Yeah, and then I guess the floating mat management, another hot topic. And then I was gonna, get the March, minutes, so that those could be approved. Dan, you said you were gonna do the boards and commissions ordinance. And then if Linnea and I do something with that regional LMD, we could report on that as.
Yeah, and I don't know what any kind of meeting schedule is, if they even have one, if it's an informal just connection of folks, but, you know,
That
if
was
you
something to
connected,
be
you can
known.
follow up
We
and kind of see
could
what you might be interested in.
barbecue at somebody's
I know.
backyard, like.
That's why I signed this up.
Yeah.
Well, I have rules about barbecues. They're printed if you want to see. They're very important.
So also I had a question after adjourning. It says all committee members are attending remotely. Is that just left over from the before, the pink?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Note that,
Is that,
that is
oh,
on
that's
tonight.
yeah, that's the actual Zoom invite that got posted onto there. I don't know how that got on there. I didn't include that in my copy of the minutes.
So it should just be committee, yeah, it's just, I think it's just like that's in the template that we can adjust. It should just be, committee members attend remotely and in person.
And then I had a question on the post meeting. It says audio of the meeting will be recorded and later available by request. Here, if you. So I couldn't follow like audio versus Zoom, or I don't
A
understand.
recording of the meeting will be available by request. We can update that. Yeah, again, this is template stuff that I'll have to work with
Okay.
our city clerk on.
Because I thought the Zoom was really helpful because it had all the handouts where audio wouldn't have the handouts.
And did you access that through the website?
It was really nice.
Is it on the website? No.
Oh, I guess I got it through the link that you sent.
Yeah, I think I must have sent you the link. We're working on getting that posted to the meeting,
Okay.
website.
It's actually not gonna be posted there. I mean, this is a moving target right now, because there's other things going on citywide that it's not gonna be posted there, but we are working on making it available upon request, either through, YouTube or some other.
Okay.
But we are recording these meetings, to, facilitate questions or so they're available for folks.
Yeah.
So if people want it, they have to email you and.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
because then he sent me the link.
Okay.
But yeah, for going back and like focusing on something, it was really helpful.
Yeah, I even think all the Zoom information that they've got in here is incorrect right now, too.
Mm.
And then the last is, it looked like the meeting dates were as part of a footer, because they were showing up on all the pages,
Mhm.
kind of.
Did you want that, or did you want?
I was just thinking
Different?
either, I would guess I was used to seeing them on,
We don't have that page anymore, because the agenda is a template.
oh, okay.
So we have to put them on a document that we prepared, not on the template, because we just basically plug in the information. Everything you see on this agenda page is just entered into fields. We don't have the ability to add a footer, on there. So this is a citywide template
Yes, okay.
that we can't do. That's why we have it on the minutes and the other documents that we create.
And and I guess I was used to seeing them also on the agenda.
Right, and which we can't do.
Okay.
This is the tail wagging the dog.
Yes. But, I mean, look at how much more information we have now. Oh, it's a good thing.
Yeah, the city is growing, so we've had to update our processes, and we're using more technology now, which limits our variability between groups and things like that too. And there's other people, it's not just me creating an entire packet for you anymore. I have to send information to another department puts information together, that department then sends stuff to another department, right? So again, you lose a little bit of flexibility in that, but we're finding ways to make sure that information is still available. Plus the meeting
I was
information.
I was being facetious, in a way, even though it could be serious, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
And are we expecting that forever we will now have hybrid meetings with Zoom?
For the time being.
Realize-
Yeah, I mean,
That'll
for the
always
time
be
being
an
is, yes, forever until somebody tells me it's different.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think that's a reality of life now, and finding it in many areas. Yeah, there's a difference being here in person. And it's the same thing
A
I
huge
said about
difference.
education
I think it's
for
much
years,
more
It's not the
congenial
same.
and more gets said and discussed.
Yeah.
openly.
And it doesn't give an opportunity for folks like Dana and Tom and Jody to join us, virtually when they can't be here. And Dana's probably just waiting for us to adjourn this meeting, so she can go back to
Please.
get better.
Okay. Well, and
Yeah.
Dana,
I got one of
Let
my
you go later.
horrible headaches.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We'll go lay down. We're
Thank you for,
adjourned.
for coming.
I missed, what's up with Gary? I'm not in.
Are we,
Well, let's adjourn.
Oh, okay.
That's the, I don't know.
Okay, see you later, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight.
Oh,
Wow,
okay,
what-
thank you.
All right, thank you very
bye.
much.
Bye.
Take care.